Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Professor Bobby Rush, a three-part miniseries on blues legend Bobby Rush and his 10-year partnership with the Mike Curb Institute for Music at Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm your host, Dr. Tyler Fritts. Our first episode is a brief introduction into Bobby Rush, his music, and his importance. Episode 2 will take a deep look at Bobby's music and how to listen to his very specific type of blues. We'll conclude with episode 3, which takes a deep look into Professor Rush's relationship with Rhodes College and with college students. Before we begin, though, it would be wise to cover who is Bobby Rush. Well, he is a living legend of the blues. He's a two-time Grammy Award winner, most recently receiving the Grammy for this year's Best Traditional Blues Album. He's also been nominated 6 times in total. He also serves as a cultural diplomat for Mississippi and the South and the Mid-South and the blues community in general. He has spent the last several decades, half a century, traveling the world, taking this music and this culture to new people. And since 2010, he has also been an honorary member of the Rhodes College faculty. But we will explore this in more detail in episode 3. So why does Bobby Rush matter? Well, aside from being a fantastic musician and an absolutely legendary entertainer, he encompasses all of blues history, beginning in pre-World War II rural South, being steeped in the traditional folk styles of the blues. He is a part of the Chicago scene when blues goes electric. He is part of the blues revival and is in part responsible for taking the blues around the world. His music is super interesting because it is absolutely the blues, but it changes depending on his mood, really. Sometimes he sounds very traditional, as he does on his latest album. Sometimes he mixes funk and soul and other types of African-American folk and popular musics to create a sound that is big and raucous and just full of energy. It's also important to note that Mr. Rush is seen as an extremely important mentor for young blues musicians. Many folks that I've worked with refer to him as Uncle Bobby Rush because he has built such a close relationship with these young musicians as he's helping them get their start in blues. Bobby Rush was born just outside of Homer, Louisiana in 1933. He was born to a father who was a preacher, though unusual for the time and place. Bobby's father was not against him pursuing music. In fact, he supported it. Bobby's father was an amateur harmonica player who showed his son how to play harmonica. And by the time Bobby was 11, he had himself a guitar and was teaching himself to play. By 1956, he's living in Chicago and performing at a place called Bourbon Street, which is one of the many blues clubs. This was actually more of a jazz club, though, in Chicago. It's not long before he starts playing really every club in Chicago, especially blues clubs in South Chicago. And he even gets to the point that he's playing 3 gigs every single night. That's playing shows back to back to back, night after night after night. Because he was so successful doing this, he didn't really press to make a record, although he does record for Checker, which is a subsidiary of Chess. And he also recorded, along with Howlin' Wolf, he was playing bass for one of Howlin' Wolf's records at Chess, although Mr. Rush is uncredited in it. In 1971, Mr. Rush releases his first big hit, a song called Chicken Heads. This reaches number 34 on the Billboard chart, and amazingly, it also appears on the Billboard again in 2006 as the song was included in the soundtrack for the movie Black Snake Moan. The B-side to Chicken Heads is a song called Mary Jane. What's interesting is that both of these represent the sort of blues life in Chicago. Chicken Heads referring to sexual activities, and Mary Jane referring to the use of marijuana. In 1979, his song I Want to Do the Do hits number 75 on the charts. Bobby's audience, though, at least his strongest audience, has been in the South. But he performs all over the world. At his height, he was averaging more than 300 shows a year. This is almost one show every single night of the year. And you factor in that he's traveling all over the place. This is really, really remarkable. And then add to this that he's also recorded 32 albums and 21 singles. Pretty amazing stuff. Of course, he is known most for his live concerts, which are an absolute blast. In fact, seeing him live is one of the most fun times I've ever had at a blues show. I think I've seen him 4, maybe 5 times at this point. His shows, like his music, are bawdy and raucous, but they're very fun. And that's really the key. We also see through his music, through the risqueness of his music, he also embodies self-definition, taking control of himself and his legacy, doing exactly what he wants on his own terms. Again, we'll look more at this as we get into the next episode. But for now, I will say thank you for joining us on Professor Bobby Rush, and I look forward to seeing you for the next episode. Thank you so much.